Hey everyone, Typical Hunks Adventure. Hopefully these videos aren't too loud in terms of like the background noise. I noticed kind of when I listened back to them that the roads and everything while I'm riding on the car be a bit loud. Not really sure what to do about that. I was kind of looking in Resolve in terms of kind of leveling out or stabilizing the audio, but I didn't have too much success. I think it was able to change it a little bit, but honestly still not sure, so I apologize for that. I can try and speak louder, maybe that'll help counteract that noise. But on today's car chat, just want to kind of talk about things I used to do for fun with my wife before we had kids and didn't make a lot of money and didn't want to go out to spend money and do a lot of things at the time, especially when we were living in an apartment and trying to save. But one favorite pastime of ours, sometimes we do this with the kids too, or we would do it with my son to get him to fall asleep when he was a baby, is just driving around. We really enjoyed just driving around, finding new places. Maybe it would be to find a new park. We'd look up on Google Maps and just look up various parks or areas that look green. We would check them out. Sometimes they would end up being disc golf courses. But it was just something to do, and at the time we were playing Pokemon Go a lot, so it kind of worked out that we were able to experience new places through that as well. But yeah, every Friday we would intentionally try and get lost, or take a road that we've never taken, or just take one further out from what we had before. Sometimes we would take it until we got to, 30 miles north of wherever we were and realize it's like, oh hey, this comes out near the freeway. Or we would go through some random rich neighborhoods and just kind of look at the houses and admire them, or be like, man, I wonder how much you had to make to afford a house like this. And it was just kind of a fun thing that we would do. And I still enjoy just driving around and checking out things. Sometimes it's nice to get lost. Sometimes you do have your internal compass to try and keep you on path. But yeah, a lot of times we would do it around nighttime or in the evening after work. And I liked some of the trips that we do. Some of them that I remember are, we went down this neighborhood and it just kept leading to one-off roads that you would have to take and go through cul-de-sac areas. But we got out to this area just outside of a neighborhood, and there was this, it looked like a giant ship. I don't know, I feel like it was massive. But we never found it again in the daytime, so I couldn't really confirm what it was, but it just reminded me of this giant cruise ship in the middle of these neighborhoods, and it was just really fascinating to me. One time, I actually know this neighborhood because I knew the area, so we had gone back a couple of times, but there's this cool neighborhood that was kind of up on a hill, but then a little bit further, there was kind of a dip, or I guess a ravine, whatever you want to call it, a dip in the hill, and they came back up. But there's a neighborhood kind of in between, nestled in there, and so while they were elevated, there would be neighbors behind them or to the sides that went along the neighborhood, and those would all be up on a hill kind of overlooking it as well. And for some people it's maybe you don't want neighbors looking down on your house, but the way it was situated, it kind of looked cool, especially at nighttime. It kind of gave it this interesting little metropolitan type area, but in a neighborhood community of houses, and I thought that was fascinating. There's another area, a road that we used to frequent a lot, and we would sometimes take a road off of it and just kind of explore. There's this big mansion that had an outdoor chandelier I've never seen before. That was interesting to see. And another road that we had gone down had a lot of nice houses, but there would be one at the end of a cul-de-sac that was definitely a craftsman custom style house with some nice wood architecture going on the front, and they had basically stone stairs, but they were they're very flat, kind of like flagstone rock, but giant sheets of flagstone rock that kind of slowly layered up a couple of steps to their front door. But that was a really cool house. I remember seeing the owner out there, and he was just kind of admiring what I can imagine was this house. I'm assuming he was just getting his newspaper, but yeah, I'll never forget that house. And, you know, there are other stories that I can think of, or times where, yeah, we would get lost and we would use, you know, Google to get us back on track, or just kind of Pokemon Go if we're looking at the in-game map to kind of see if we could find something to go to next. But it was always a fun time. It was always a new adventure. We never knew what we were going to come across or see on our drive. And it was just nice to explore. And, you know, gas isn't free or necessarily cheap at times. But, you know, driving around for an hour or two and, you know, getting a coffee to kind of have to the drive with it wasn't too bad. And it allowed us to get out of the house for a bit and, you know, check out the area. You never know what you're going to come across. Like I said, maybe you find a new restaurant or a place. Now the thing about we never went to it, but there was a cool coffee shop that we had found by a gym that was open late, but we already had our coffee, so we didn't go to it. But we had talked about it before, but yeah, we never did go there. So maybe I'll make a note of that. That would be cool to check out, because that was one of the places that we did find while doing these drives, you know, years and years ago, probably back to, you know, pre-2019. But let me know in the comments if that's something you've ever done. You know, do you ever just kind of casually drive around for fun and explore and, you know, just kind of do that to get out of the house? Yeah, that's going to do it for this video. So stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next video.